What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Welcome to our NCAA football bowl extravaganza, and we are running hot, baby. White hot. We are 39 wins, 26 losses, plus 13.92 units combined, and that's being forced to make a pick on each and every game, which is extremely, extremely impressive. I've snuck past the big Ragoo. I'm at 12-6 plus 5.54 units. ROI plus 30.78%. Average line minus 108. I'm only 0.24 units above Ragoo because he cashed with Wisconsin. I lost on the under. His ROI is higher than me, 31.18%. He's 10-7 plus 5.30 units, buoyed by the plus 390 money line on Hawaii. John Ryan moving up fast, 9-6 plus 2.55 units, plus 17% ROI. And DJ Bigg Boss right on our tails, 8-7 plus 0.53 units, ROI plus 3.53%. Incredible numbers. We're making tons of cash. Let's keep this going, baby. Shout out to all the experts here on screen. First off, John Ryan, top right corner. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. Glad to be here, and let's have a great show here and have some fun.
And keep rolling. I love it. Big Ragoo right below John Ryan. How you doing, my man?
Doing great. Another good opportunity to be with my boys and have fun tonight. Let's get it done.
Yeah, we're running hot. DJ Bigg Boss. How you doing, my guy?
What up? Just so happy to be back on the show right now, man. I guess Big Ragoo was the pace horse. He got out into the front. Looks like you caught some gain on the back stretch, and guess what? We coming into the turn, baby. It's anybody's game right now. You know what I'm saying? It's anybody's game. Guess what? Since Big Ragoo, he stopped wearing his lucky shirt. I thought he was doing the baseball thing. I went and pulled up my old holy ND shirt for this show right here. And yes, I'm getting ready for the new year, Jimmy. I got my whistle ready. I got my shot glass. And guess what? For right now, check me out. For right now, I'm double fisting, Jimmy.
Look at you go.
You taught me well, Jimmy. You taught me well.
I'm trying to try out a little
1-800 AA
before New Year's. I'm trying to try it, so I just got a cup of tea.
Oh, nice.
He does know English.
Nice. Well, I heard we're supposed to open up all the doors and windows and let 2020 out and let 2021 in. So I'm letting it all hang, man. I'm sorry. I'm letting it all hang.
I love it, man. Let's get to work, fellas. Again, combined 39 and 26 plus 13.92 units. Thank you guys for joining us. We only have one more college football show left in the season, and that will be the championship game. That's it. So it's been a treat capping with you guys. John Schwartz in our chat. I've seen John Schwartz's tickets right now. He does need Oklahoma. And, man, did we destroy that market move. Sebastian Cornwell in the house. Lonnie Cash Money Mills in the house. Jojo Rich Ramirez. Flipper 13. K-Paul VIP. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's get right to work. We start Friday, January 1st with the Peach Bowl. Number 9, Georgia Bulldogs, 7-2 versus number 8, Cincinnati Bearcats. I moved on the Cincinnati Bearcats today at +7, and that's not because I love this Bearcats team. It's that the pieces that George is missing in this game, I think, are extremely important. And I can understand when a team is missing wide receivers, there's other wide receivers that can step up, but there's some integral pieces here that we will go over that they are missing. And it was enough for me to jump on the Bearcats at +7. Now, that was a bet I've made. That's not an official contest pick. All our contest picks have to be made here on the show with the lines that are available right now. And we will go in order. We're going to start with John Ryan going first on this one, and we'll go around the horn here. And in a counter-clockwise Hong Kong horse racing fashion. All right, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see what we are dealing with right now. We have 7 still. The 6.5s are at the leading indicator books. I expect it to go to 6.5. In fact, I expect it to go to 6 and possibly even 5.5. But I think it'll go down to 6 here when all the information comes out in this game. The total here opened up at 50 and it's gone up to 50.5 or 51. Let's start with the Georgia Bulldogs. After a bad 44-28 loss at home to Florida, Georgia won 3 straight to close the season. 31-24 at home over Mississippi State, 45-16 at South Carolina, and 49-14 at Missouri. Their defense was very strong all year, allowing just 322.8 yards and 19.9 points a game. But their defense has taken a hit from some very important opt-outs. So all of their team captains have opted out. So we'll start with the team captains: linebacker Monty Rice, who had 49 tackles; cornerback Eric Stokes, another team captain, who had 4 interceptions, 2 he returned for touchdowns. They've opted out to prepare for the draft. Their other starting cornerback DJ Daniel has also opted out. Now, outside linebacker Azeez Owarli, projected as a first-round NFL draft pick, he has elected to play in the Peach Bowl. There are reports out saying that he is opting out. Last I heard, those are incorrect, and Azeez will be playing in the Peach Bowl. Senior defensive back Richard LeCount continues to practice. He sustained injuries in a Halloween night dirt bike crash, so he's trying to come back. I don't know if he will. Senior defensive end Malik Herring is playing in the Peach Bowl, even though he's got the invite to the Senior Bowl. He could sit out, so he is playing. So their offense changed drastically when JT Daniels took over the starting position. Over the 3 games since the switch, Georgia's averaged nearly 500 total yards per game. That stretch includes Daniels' 401-yard, 4-touchdown performance in his debut against Mississippi State. 2 more balanced outings that each resulted in 45 or more points on the road against South Carolina and Missouri. Let's go to the offense. Another team captain, offensive lineman Ben Cleveland, has opted out to prepare for the draft. So has tight end Trey McKitty. Backup running back James Cook, Dalvin Cook's brother, who ran 45 times for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns, also was very nice receiving out of the backfield. He's going to miss the Peach Bowl to be with his family following the death of his father this week. And Dalvin's going to be there as well. He's not playing on Sunday. They will have their top 3 receivers, Kearis Jackson, Jermaine Burton, and George Pickens, as well as their top running back, Zamir White. So they still have a lot of weapons. Then let's quickly go Cincinnati. They haven't had a single player opt out. They went undefeated through the season with an average margin of defeat of 23.3 points, but won their last 2 games by just 3 points each over UCF and Tulsa. Their offense put up 39.3 points and 467.2 yards per game. 604 dual threat. Junior quarterback Desmond Ridder completed 66.4% of his passes for 2,090 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He also ran for 609 yards and 12 touchdowns. Leading running back Garrett Dokes ran for 673 yards and 7 touchdowns. He hurt his leg against Tulsa. He's listed as questionable. They have 3 linebackers in Jarrell White, Darian Beavers, and Joel DeBlanco that lead the way. Their best safety, James Wiggin, hurt his leg against Tulsa and is listed as questionable. Okay, let's start. We're going to start with John Ryan here. Georgia, Cincinnati, take it away.
Well, I'll start with the SOS strength of schedule that both teams face. Georgia is 47. You may remember, I think we mentioned in the last show, one of the SEC teams that hit 51. So the SEC teams are going to have the highest SOS. Cincinnati, many people have said all through the season they get no respect. They're definitely an excellent team, but their SOS is 31. So that is one of the widest gaps of any of the bowl games that are taking place, especially here down the stretch. So you can already tell that I'm leaning on Georgia here, and I will be betting Georgia. I think the fact that you're a member of the SEC and you know Cincinnati is going to bring the load, you know that this is their game to make a point nationally, and it's their game to finish in the top 10, which would be the highest ranking in school history. But I think Georgia, despite, again, next man up for these guys opting out. And this may sound kind of not evil, but, negative on Cincinnati. I think it's great that nobody opted out. I don't like hearing the word opted out because you're a part of a team. And, I'm old school. And when you're a part of a team, you finish the season. You didn't think about going somewhere else or, unless they're, in the case of the death of a family member, that's certainly an exception. But if you think about it, with all the opt-outs on Georgia, doesn't that imply that that's a more talented team because they're opting out to prepare for the NFL draft? And I've been thinking about that since our last show. And the more and more I think about it, I think the more I agree with myself that might be a pretty good sign. And it's also a sign that recruiting at Georgia is going to be much, much better than Cincinnati year after year after year. Cincinnati has a great ball club. They'll certainly fight to win this game, but I think Georgia just has too much SEC experience. Let's call it that. So in this game, the line implies basically a 29-21 Georgia victory with a total of roughly 50, and then favored by 7, call it. I'm just rounding it off. So in my machine learning stuff, there's a high probability that Georgia's going to score more than 28 points in this game. In fact, it's 82%. So I like these pivot numbers. Georgia is 129 and 59 against the spread when scoring 28 or more points in all games played in the last 10 seasons. And let's see, Cincinnati here. Here's another machine learning one. The projection is that Georgia will outgain them by 150 to 200 yards. When that happens to Cincinnati, they are 3-16 and winless since 2015. So the 3-16 last 10 years, winless since 2016 when that has occurred. And lastly, I'll give you a system here right off the start. This one has hit 80% winners over the last 5 seasons. You're going to play on any team. In this case, it's Georgia in a game involving 2 very strong, excellent rushing teams gaining 4.85 yards per rush and are coming off a game allowing 40 or less rushing yards in their last game, which Georgia did. So, it's a powerful system. 47% of these plays covered the spread by more than 7.5 points, 18-5 over the last 3 years. So you can mark me down for Georgia.
Let's get you Georgia right now, and I completely understand the breakdown. I've had people mention to me that this was a mortgage-type bet that they're putting on Georgia.
I don't like hearing that.
I have had that.
Wow.
And I think that with them losing their 3-team captains in crucial positions and in a game that means I expect it to mean so much more to Cincinnati than it does to Georgia, and you're going to give me 7 points, I'm going to take a shot. But I completely understand with your breakdown, and it makes a ton of sense. You can get -6.5 now, -6.5 on Georgia. You can get -6.5 at -115 available at DraftKings. Is that what you'd like?
I'll take that.
Georgia full game -6.5 at DraftKings. We go down to the big Ragoo. Take it away, Peach Bowl.
Oklahoma 7-0 like butter. You hear me? Okay, let's get into this game a little bit. Now, John gave a lot of intricate details on numbers and whatnot, and how he came about his theories on the game, which I tend to agree with his thinking on Georgia. But my main factor in the game here is I'm aware of the fact that the next up talent's on the sidelines, and the key leadership, like Jimmy says, that might be an issue. When I did my spreadsheets on the game, I didn't have a play on the game either way, so this is strictly a contest play. But looking into the game, with Cincinnati not getting the respect, like we know that, they would kind of be the equivalent of UCF on offense, where Cincinnati is really, really strong on defense, and they have a pretty good running game. But Georgia, man, they're really tough on the run. And I'm not going to say it's going to make them too one-dimensional in this spot, but I just think Georgia's been one of those teams, like every year they've been little brother to Alabama. And, when they go into these games, these bowl games especially, we've seen in the past where they've kind of had more of a letdown than a motivational factor to kind of participate in these type of games. But, they had an up-and-down season. They were probably better than – they're one of the good teams in the SEC. There's some shitty teams that are playing in these bowl games, but Georgia's one of the better teams without a doubt. And you have like a couple mediocre teams and some bad teams. But anyways, in this particular spot with Georgia, I think they're going to be up for this game. I really do. I think this is one they're kind of, wanting to kind of springboard towards next year. A ton of talent. They recruit well. Georgia's actually probably like the 3rd best recruiting class in the nation. And I think next up for Georgia here, I'm not crazy about laying the 6.5 or 7, whatever it is, but I'm going to do it for the contest. I'm going to take Georgia, whatever best number I can get, minus the 6.5. I think Georgia is going to compete. Now, they are going to get some smash mouth. You're probably going to see them get off to a quicker start than Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's probably going to settle in and make a game of it without a doubt. So it's not going to be an easy game for Georgia. They'll probably get punched in the mouth a couple times, and they'll punch back maybe a little bit harder. And I think they get the victory. I'm hoping they get to the 6.5, but it's not a keen play for me.
You can get the 6.5, minus 6.5 at minus 115. That is available at DraftKings. We move over to DJ Bigg Boss. Take it away, my man.
Well, I agree totally with Big Ragoo saying and with John Ryan saying, but for everybody that's watching, I'm gonna approach it from a different angle right here. For one, you consider all what we said about who's playing and not playing, and we still looking at a 6.5, 7. So that tells you, I smell a fish. And then if you look at the total set low, and it's probably built off an algorithm considering that Georgia has good defense, Cincinnati's has good defense. And if you look at the numbers, it looks like Georgia's going to be a running team because of the past quarterback and the situation that they had. But coming in this game with JT Daniels being more pass happy brings more balance to the offense of Georgia right there. So, and that really leads me over to, I was thinking Georgia team total over, but when I look at Cincinnati as well, who's a big time defensive team, but they've been able to score when they need to score and finish games when they need to finish games because they have a pretty much even offense and defense. They kind of like run pass and they kind of even up in there. But I think everybody gets loose so far in all of these bowl games. Everybody's been getting loose. A couple of these game plans came lopsided compared to what they normally do and what they do in the bowl game. Because you got to figure some coaches is looking at it. Hey, some coaches look at the bowl game as this is an opportunity to try something new. That's why you see a lot of teams come out with different color helmets and jerseys and all that kind of extra stuff. So, and we've already seen it in a couple games before that, these teams that we thought were going to come out running came out passing. Look at how Wake Forest did earlier. And, just those type of logistics in the bowl season you got to consider. So in this one right here, I think this could be an algorithm that's set low, that's really going to go high, and I like the over in this one.
The over, and that's the only move you're going to make?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and group hug with the fellas and drop Georgia on it as well because I like Georgia as well. I like what JT Daniels has to offer overall. He has something to prove. And you're looking at a team that was once one way and now they're leaning one way. And if you give them the offense they have now in some of those games earlier this year, you get different outcomes on that. But the defense is a strong defense. I trust in the defense, and I'm always gonna pick the more defensive side. So I like the Georgia defense more than the Cincinnati defense. And, and on top of it all, you got the big class difference. I think, we've seen that as well in some of the bowl games before. Like, class is a big thing. Like, SEC, at the end of the day, so all these conferences just came out of championship and competing with each other, and now they like, let's get as many conference championships for our conference together. So you got guys rooting for guys in some of these games right here, and everybody's pulling for Georgia. Georgia could have been somewhere total different, so this could be a really lopsided game, maybe a blowout or something like that. So I'm gonna say with Georgia, and I'm gonna keep the total because it's contest time, man. Sometimes you got to hit the right and the left to make it right, because all you got to do is a pow, and then I'm up there with you, Jimmy.
We're all very close in the contest, all doing very well early. It's not early. We're halfway through. We're halfway through.
Blanket's over.
Georgia minus 6.5, minus 115 on DraftKings for John Ryan, for Big Ragoo, for Big Boss. Big Boss is also on the over 50.5. And I am on the other side, Cincinnati plus 7 at minus 110 at Bet365. And I had people messaging me saying, big mistake. You're making a big mistake. They're saying they're making big bets on Georgia on New Year's Day. Not me. All right, we move on to the Citrus Bowl, 1 p.m. Eastern. Auburn Tigers versus number 14th ranked Northwestern Wildcats. We're going to start with Big Ragoo here in this breakdown. Camping World Stadium, Orlando, Florida. This total at these licensed legal American books are 43.5 across the board. The spread right now has Northwestern as 3.5-point favorites. There are still a couple threes on the board. There's some tricky spots here. I need a lot of time, and it took me hours to figure out who's in, who's out. A couple of these games. Some were easy, some were difficult. This one was tougher. Auburn dealing with opt-outs, injuries, transfers. After back-to-back losses to Alabama and Texas A&M, Auburn closed the season with a 24-10 win at Mississippi State. 6-4 Auburn Tigers. Their offense scored 25.7 points, 385 yards a game. They're led by sophomore quarterback Bo Nix, who struggled on the road this season. Overall, he completed 60% of his passes for 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Leading receiver Seth Williams caught 42 passes for 688 yards, 4 touchdowns. Number 2 wide receiver Anthony Schwartz is opting out to prepare for the draft. With Schwartz out, senior Eli Stove will see a lot more playing time. He's talented. He can step up. Number 1 running back, Tank Bigsby, ran for 834 yards, 5 touchdowns. He is dealing with a hip injury and is questionable. The number 4 running back, Mark Anthony Richards, has entered the transfer portal. Their defense allowed 400.9 yards and 23.7 points per game. Safety Jamie Sherwood and defensive back Christian Tutt have opted out, but Sherwood is opting out is more injury related. But their safety and defensive back, Sherwood and Tutt, have opted out. Auburn's young defensive backs, it's being said, are going to get a lot of play here because the coaching staff described the secondary as very beat up. Northwestern gave Ohio State all they could handle in a 22-10 loss in the Big Ten championship. They went 6-2 on the season. They're now dealing with a series of opt-outs as well. Their great season was built on their defense. They allowed just 5 points, 338.8 yards a game. Their star cornerback, Greg Newsome, got hurt in the Big 12 championship. He's not going to be playing here, but they have Brandon Joseph, who we all watched this year, their freshman safety, who led the Big Ten with 6 picks. Sophomore defensive end Iku Leota, defensive backs Jeremiah McDonald and Gunnar Maldonado have entered the portal. Their offense averaged 23.4 points and 348.6 yards per game. And of that mix is Iku Leota is a big loss there of those 3 that I just mentioned. Peyton Ramsey struggled at times this year, especially on the road. In the end, he completed 59.9% of his passes, 1,442 yards, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Senior wide receiver Kyrick McGowan and wide receiver Malik Washington and running back Isaiah Bowser are in the portal. They have 6 guys that have moved into the transfer portal. So that's their number 2 and 4 ranked wide receivers in Kyrick McGowan and Malik Washington, and their number 3 rusher in Isaiah Bowser. There you have it. A lot of interesting angles in this game. Big Ragoo, take it away, Citrus Bowl.
You got 2. They're both winning squads. We know Northwestern played, like you said, Ohio State really tough. Auburn has had some ups and downs. They're kind of like a middle-of-the-pack team in the SEC. Their main thing this year was they had a hard time taking care of the football, and Northwestern is really, really good at causing havoc, on both sides of the ball. Another pickoff for Oklahoma.
Wow.
They're killing them. Anyways, so what we have here is a classic battle because the Big Ten, they want to take their swings at the SEC every chance they get. And the way Auburn's went about it this year, Malzahn, he's gone. And I'm really one of my biggest caps in college football when it comes to bowl season is usually we see these announcements right at the end of the season when you have all these coaching changes. But, it's been an odd year. We know everything that's going on there. So we already kind of knew that story. So they've got some issues on the coaching side. They've got some issues taking care of the football. If you're looking for a barn burner type of game, this isn't going to be the one, obviously, because Northwestern does struggle, to put points up. But I think their defense is far superior to Auburn. And with Auburn's issues they have on the offense, and they're not very good at their defense isn't as good as they've been in the past. You can throw the ball on them, but Northwestern doesn't throw the ball very well either. So I would look for a low-scoring game here, probably in the mid-40s somewhere. What's the current total on that, Jimmy, right now? What do we got on the total?
It's dropped all the way to 43.5. There's even a 43 on the board from a 46 opener. And that opener's at Bet 365. So
they're going to push me off of that with the total here. I would probably say Northwestern's probably the side. I don't like to get chalky all the time, but I just think they have too much going as far as balance goes. The way they play, the way they approach their game plan, they're very disciplined. They don't make the mistakes. And there's nobody better in college football in the fourth quarter. So what you might want to do in this one too, if you're looking at maybe a live possibility, maybe use one of John's theories. This team they eat in the fourth quarter. They're probably the toughest in the nation. So if they have a lead into the game, depending on how big that lead is, maybe or if it's a close game, maybe a money line playing Northwestern late. But for a contest pick here, I'm going to have to roll with Northwestern laying the points.
Northwestern laying the points. This is a very tricky game. Yeah. Very tricky game. I'm looking forward to hear all of your takes here. I'm going to line shop for you on Northwestern minus the points. We go to DJ Bigg Boss. Take it away, my man. Citrus Bowl.
Basically, in this one, like Big Ragoo said, the coach.
Oh, we need your mic. If you could pull your mic down, my man.
I'm sorry. The coaching over there at Auburn is difficult. The people coming in and out. I don't know who's going to be coaching this game.
Everybody is there.
Is it an interim coach? Well, so they're just going to do all their coaching stuff later.
I've heard that there's no – unless someone knows different from me, what I've read is the changes are after.
Okay, cool. Well, but I mean, we already showing people leaving the team, even though the coach is gonna be playing his last game there or whatever. But this Northwestern team was really, really impressive. But it showed it showed right away that the offense lacked, difficult for them to score. And I don't know what Auburn's defense have to offer. Auburn has been a team that hasn't really adjusted well. Like in tough situations, they folded. Now you got more people on the team folding. You got all this other stuff going on. And I think Northwestern was one of the solidest teams that I checked out. Like you watch from afar and then you actually sit down and watch a game. And when they played Ohio State, they do have a really top tier defense. Now both of these teams trend to the under. Auburn is 2-8 to the under. Northwestern is 1-7 to the under. I'm gonna just jump in there, drop the purse, hop in the fire, and take the under in this one.
I'm going to give you the under. I will line shop for you right now. I am giving our man Ragoo the only 3 on the board at BetMGM, -3 at -115.
Kevin Steele, I think, is going to coach the game, the defensive coordinator, because they went after didn't they pick up Brian Harsin as their new coach? I think Kevin Steele, the defensive guy, is going to coach it.
I'm gonna just let y'all know I've been to Noli School of Unders, and this is one of the programs that they teach over there, and this game has underwritten all over it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
-3 for Ragoo. I will line shop for you, boss, on the total. Let's go up to John Ryan.
Well, you guys put on a pretty good breakdown there, so I can probably make this fairly short. In this matchup, the strength of schedule is kind of out the window because of all the opt-outs and the players leaving the program at Auburn. And that's the part that really sticks with me on this is when you have 2, 3, 4 guys leave because of coaching changes. It's a toxic situation in the locker room. It's never a positive thing, especially with a guy that they're firing. And granted, they probably could have fired him 5, 6 years ago. But from everything you read about Malzahn, he's your second father. He teaches men how to be great people, off the field and not just between the white lines. And coaching is not just winning games; it's preparing young men for their futures. So you gotta feel for that situation. Now, Northwestern has, as Jimmy said, you guys said that they have the COVID, they have people leaving as well and transfers. But it seems like the momentum is on Northwestern's side. Without these changes, I would be definitely on Auburn. Auburn's strength of schedule was 49, Northwestern 41.5, and they're the underdog. But they're underdog for a reason. So let's see what else I have here. In terms of the systems, well, you guys are gonna think I'm nuts, but I have one here for the over 29-5, going back to 1990, 85% winners. You're going to play over in neutral field situations with a total between 42 and 49 with a team, in this case Auburn, that has having won 4 or 5 out of their last 6 games, with the game taking place in January, which this game is in January, right? January 1. So there you have it. And that makes sense to me a little bit, because if you have a situation where you're not fully psyched 100% to go out there and rip somebody's throat out, there's going to be a propensity for more points being scored. And if Northwestern gets a lead, they're liable to just pile it on. This is kind of their day in the sun. Auburn's played bowl games all the time. So I'm going to go with the over. I talked myself into it.
I agree with the over. And if this was a game that had everybody in, then I completely agree with the under. But these are huge pieces, especially out of Northwestern's defense. And we have an Auburn team that may or may not be even trying. I mean, I shouldn't say that. That's probably a little harsh. And Bo Nix, it's an important game for him.
It is an important. It's a good point, Jimmy. I forgot to mention that he had a very underperforming type of season and way below expectations. And this might be a way to jumpstart his 2021 season with a big game. So everything I'm looking at says to take the over.
I agree with this over. I wonder if we can get you a 43 anywhere. No, not there. 43.5, and here is 43.5. So we cannot. I can understand the look on the under, but there's just I keep going over the pieces that aren't going to be there, and I just see some mistakes made by the secondary. I would like to bet Northwestern, but I don't want to have 2 bets on this game. Especially, that's one of the main things. So I am just going to take the over. We're going to get over 43.5 and minus 105 available at BetMGM. NW and Auburn over 43.5 at minus 105. Sorry, what was that? Minus 3 for no. Okay, minus 105. There we go. And I'm going to be making the same play. Over 43.5, minus 105. But I guess I don't trust Northwestern with the missing pieces. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and hum and haw. Do you expect this total to keep going down? Do you think if I want to bet this that I should wait?
I don't know. That's pretty low for college football, period. So this is really if it went down to 41. No, I would stay under. I think this is going to be a really, really low scoring game. Like, that's all Northwestern has is their defense.
All right. So we have Ragoo on Northwestern minus 3 at BetMGM at minus 115. We have Big Boss on Northwestern Auburn under 43.5 minus 105 at PointsBet. And John Ryan and I on the over 43.5 minus 105. And that will be going up against going against the market move there. Joseph Pierre liking the under. Let's roll. We move on to the Rose Bowl. 4 p.m. Eastern. Perfect timing because we get to start with DJ Bigg Boss. Number 4 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 10-1 on the season. And number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide, 11-0. AT&T Stadium, Arlington, Texas. Arlington, Texas. Let's see what we are dealing with here. Alabama opens up as 19.5-point favorites. That's now 20. This total opened up at 65.5. It's still pretty much there at most books, but there are some 66s. After winning 10 straight to start the season, the Irish came back to earth in the 34-10 loss in the ACC championship game. Notre Dame gains 455.3 yards per game, scores 35.2 points per game, led by senior quarterback Ian Book, who completed 64% of his passes for 2,601 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also ran for 430 yards and 8 touchdowns. His favorite target, Javon McKinley, caught 40 passes for 697 yards and 3 touchdowns. Their sophomore, Karen Williams, excellent this year, running for 1,061 yards, 12 touchdowns. Notre Dame's defense allows just 18.6 points and 335.1 yards per game. Star defensive back Kyle Hamilton injured his ankle in the ACC title game, and Brian Kelly expects him to be ready to go for this. Alabama looked more and more dominant as the season went on before kind of slipping past Florida in the ACC championship game, 52-46. They were up 35-17 at the half. Their average margin of victory was 30.2 points this year. On offense, they scored 49.7 points, 543.9 yards they gained. Junior Mac Jones completed 76.5% of his passes. That's a spectacular number. 3,739 yards, 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. After losing wide receiver Jalen Waddle to injury early in the season, Devonta Smith became the target for Jones. 98 catches, 1,511 yards, 17 touchdowns. Najee Harris ran for 1,262 yards, 24 touchdowns. Offensive lineman Landon Dickerson injured his knee during the SEC title game. He's already undergone surgery. He's unavailable. On defense, they allowed just 19.5 points, 351.2 yards a game. Their defense is led by sophomore Christian Harris, who had 68 tackles, 45 sacks. And defensive lineman LeBron Ray's an elbow injury. He hasn't returned to practice. It's not too big of a loss. All right, DJ Bigg Boss in your Notre Dame shirt, take it away.
Man, this is I really don't want to bet this game at all. I don't have a real angle in this one. It's a bloodbath. I mean, it's so many different ways you could look at this game, and I've been hearing stuff there. It's just so many different ways. The way I see it though is it's gonna come down to coaching. Same thing like when Kelly went against Dabo. Kelly is meticulous into studying and all that kind of stuff. No way that he goes in the game against Saban for the second time and make the same mistakes that he made in the first time. That's not what he does. So with that, I do lean towards the side of a lot of people saying that, hey, Notre Dame should be able to cover this 19 points. But if you look at the other side of the field, hey, we couldn't cover that amount of points with Clemson, and Alabama's a far greater team than Clemson. So the 19 points may be a little short. You know what I mean? The last time we lost to them, we lost big time to Alabama. And we still have the whole factor of when we got thrashed by Alabama, we was just simply outclassed. Like our education requirements would not let us to have the animals we need to play against that team. So this game is a little different because Kelly's classed up a little bit. He showed when he beat Clemson. So it's a big opportunity that Kelly could come in this game, control the ball, play chess with Saban, and keep the game score low, and also cover in keeping it low. I mean, Kelly's main objective is trying to get Notre Dame plus 7 points in the fourth quarter. That's where he tries to do. So, but I don't know this Alabama team. I had this Alabama team to win the whole thing. So they're way explosive. They're hungry. They're responding. Like, they're a beast. This is a good Alabama team too. You can't compare them to the team that we lost to, but this Alabama team is a beast too. So I normally I should do a fan bet in this case. Take Alabama minus the points. And just write it out like that. If Notre Dame wins or cover, hey, great for everybody else. But I'm gonna stay away from the side altogether. I'm gonna stay away from betting any of my hard-earned money on this period. But for the contest, give me the under. I think this is gonna be a chess match between the coaches. And last time with Dabo, it was a chess match as well. But that game went to overtime, and that's probably why the number's so high. So I'll give it to like 56, 58, but 65 is too high.
That's a very interesting take. 65.5. Some of the offshores have gone to 66. None of the licensed books have under 65.5. We can get you with the minimal juice minus 105 at BetMGM. We have Bigg Boss on the under. Let's head up to John Ryan here. Rose Bowl, take it away.
I've been studying this game probably the most of any of the games other than the other semifinal, which we'll take up next. But did you know that double-digit favorites have earned a 4-0 straight-up record and 3-1 against the spread, with Alabama being 3 of those 4 games in college football playoff history. And the only time they failed to cover the spread as a 13.5-point favorite was in the 28 edition of semifinal 45-34 win over the Oklahoma Sooners. And if you look at the Oklahoma Sooners, and I know we're not talking about them, but they've had bad luck in making the Final Four. Last year, semifinal game with LSU destroying Oklahoma, 63-28. They easily covered as 13.5-point favorites. The last time Notre Dame won a national championship was in 1988, which to me was hard. Like, I thought about it. I was like, is my data right? It didn't seem. Wouldn't expect it to have been that long. That was under the legend Lou Holtz, and the Heisman Trophy winner that year was Barry Sanders. So we're going back, to when I was a child. So this is motivational for Brian Kelly and bulletin board material for his troops, and to forget about the media saying that they have no chance and da and Alabama's this and Alabama's that. So on that side, I can see Notre Dame hanging in there for a while. But at the same time, it's unbelievably hard to imagine a straight up upset win. And when you have these playoff games like in the NFL and semifinal games, if you identify the winner of the game straight up, you also probably cover. The exception is the Kansas City Chiefs this year, who have won 8 games and lost 8 in a row to the spread. Let's see right here how I have this. There have been double-digit upsets, as we talked about with the LSU. I hate bringing it up, but that was one of the ones that was the biggest money line win I had all year. But it happens frequently, and I don't think people realize how often a 19.5-point underdog wins straight up in college football. So since 1980, there have been 74 games where this has occurred. The last game that this occurred was the LSU game. It's 23.5-point favorites against Florida. And realistically, that's going out on a limb saying that a team is going to do it. So don't be all that surprised if Notre Dame, comes into this game and catches a few breaks. And, that ball's not round. It bounces funny, and strange things can happen. However, I am on Alabama, and it's a strong play. And I think this is going to be more like a 52-20 rout. You can't really say rout because they're favored by 20, but they're going to cover easily, I think. And betting on favorites between 10 and 21 points that are facing an opponent who was outrushed by 125 or more yards has earned a solid 167-93 against the spread record for 64% winning bets over the last 5 seasons. The straight-up record, which is horrible news for Notre Dame if they want to pull the upset, is 17-240. So when I see stuff like this, it's hard for me to even think that Notre Dame is going to even be in this game for a half. I think what I'm going to do, Jimmy, is I want Alabama for the first half. I want Alabama for the game.
A double up. Alabama full game minus 19 at minus 110 at Circa. I'm going to line shop for you for the best first half bet on Alabama. Let's head down to Big Ragoo. Rose Bowl, take it away.
Hey, Kelly's one of the good guys in the game, man. So I'm going to be sentimental for DJ, and I'm going to hope that Brian Kelly gets the win not because he's just a good guy, but just for my guy DJ also. But it's a long shot, but we know, hey, it can happen. And hopefully, we got a little bit of Heisman jinx working your way, DJ. We'll see what happens. But
yeah,
as far as the game goes in itself, what does Notre Dame do really well? one of the tops in the country at controlling the clock. Are they playing Alabama every week? No. But Alabama has some deficiencies on third down. So even though it doesn't show in the score because they have, 3 Heisman Trophy candidates on the other side of the ball, but their defense is susceptible. We've seen it happen multiple occasions this year. And I know Kelly's going to go into that game like you were saying, and you broke it down perfectly. He's going to try to keep that offense off the field. And he might have some success if he can keep Book, in short, third down and short. Now, in that game against Clemson, they did have some opportunities, a couple routes that Ian missed. He was holding on to the ball too long. So if he can, not necessarily, check down a little bit quicker and make those quick plays instead of trying to make the plays develop downfield, maybe hit some of those quick hitches. And I know Kelly's going to come up with a game plan for him here. And Book's final game, right? For him, the Book, we're going to close the book on Book after the game here. So I do like if I'm thinking right, I think Alabama is probably going to come out on top. But I think Notre Dame will keep it close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be an under. I think it's a dead under. I think that's the play I'm going to make is under the total here. I just like it too much. I'm going to be cheering for Notre Dame to win the game because I hope the Heisman jinx comes a little bit early. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll get that third round heavyweight championship back on Clemson, Notre Dame in the championship. How would that play out for you?
Ooh, that would be a 2021 gift.
Yeah, man. But anyways, I really like the under a lot here. I think we're going to put the onus on Alabama's defense and keep Book in check. We know that Notre Dame is stingy on defense, man, and I think a lot of people are looking past it because it's Bama. And you know what? I'm going to take Notre Dame in the first half and take the under is my play on this game.
Wow. Unbelievable. Okay, I'm going to add that.
I know everybody all year has been Bama first half. Well, guess what? We're going Notre Dame first half. I'm going to get a lot of hate mail for that one, but that's okay.
Wow. Well, against Florida, Bama covered the first half. Didn't cover the full game.
Yeah, they've been in some shootouts, but this is not – the defense they're going up against here is for real, and it's going to put Bama to the test. Maybe a little tougher test than they faced all year as far as defense go, more like a Georgia type of a defense.
Wow. Okay. Let's lock this in here. Ragoo's on the under 65.5. That's at minus 105 at BetMGM. And he's also on the first half. And you can get a plus 11 at minus 110 at Circa Sports.
Yep, that's me.
All right. Notre Dame plus 11. First half. Ooh, what an interesting cap that was. First half plus 11 at minus 110.
Hey, I got one more thing to add too, Jimmy, and I'm going to tell you from the last game against Alabama at halftime. So obviously Brian Kelly identified his mistakes in the first half against Alabama during the game because at halftime, basically he went in there and told the players, protect yourself, stay safe, let's all make it home. So I'm pretty sure, and I love Big Ragoo's first half now. I might lay some money right there. If I got to lay some blue and gold, I think I would choose the first half because no way if Kelly knew at halftime, Kelly's probably been strategizing to beat Alabama from that loss forward. So this guy got a trick bag, and we haven't did no trick plays. We haven't the last game against Clemson. It looked very suspect. Even though I said that I don't believe we the type of team that would throw the game like that, but it looked very suspect. They did nothing to try to get out of the hole and everything. And another bright thing that Notre Dame has is the first Clemson game, Book showed out. Book embraced the tension. He embraced that, and that's something he normally doesn't do. So if he happens to start off with that type of thing, and I love that first half.
Wow. Okay, we have some decisions that need to be made by John Ryan. John, do you want Alabama first half minus 10.5 at minus 115 or minus 11 at minus 110?
Minus 11.
Minus 11 at minus 110. Sorry, minus 110. That is available at Circa. Wow, this is very, very difficult. I am going to take Notre Dame team total under 21.5. That is at Bet365. That's the only licensed place I can find it at minus 120. So it's expensive. The team totals are expensive there. Notre Dame team total under 21.5 at minus 120 at Bet365. That is my plan of action. Very, very, very interesting breakdown from all involved. So go over it one more time. Bigg Boss is on the under 65.5 minus 105 at BetMGM. John Ryan is on the Alabama double up. First half minus 11, full game minus 19. Big Ragoo's on the under 65.5 at minus 105. And Notre Dame first half plus 11. And I'm on Notre Dame team total under 21.5 minus 120 at Bet365. Very interesting. We move on. 8 p.m. Eastern, Sugar Bowl. Number 3, Ohio State Buckeyes, 6-0 versus number 2, Clemson Tigers, 10-1. Mercedes-Benz Superdome, New Orleans, Louisiana. Man, am I excited about this football game. Let's see what we are dealing with from an odds perspective before John Ryan opens it up for us. We have Clemson opening up as 7-point favorites. That's moved to 7.5. This total opened at 65. It's now at 66.5. There are 67s on the board. Ohio State had to deal with COVID issues throughout the season. They're coming off winning the Big Ten championship over Northwestern 22-10 while shorthanded due to positive COVID tests. They're still dealing with large amounts of players questionable because of it, but we expect them all to play at this point. I know that sounds crazy with, you see some sites have 25 guys questionable. So they're still dealing with it. Their average margin of victory was 21.5 points. Their offense put up 529.2 yards a game, with 275.7 of those coming on the ground. Justin Fields is listed probable as he's battling through a sprained thumb injury. Through 6 games, he threw for 1,521 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, also ran for 274 yards, 5 touchdowns. His favorite targets were Garrett Wilson, 38 receptions, 621 yards, 5 touchdowns, and Chris Olave, 36 receptions, 520 yards, 5 touchdowns. They have a two-headed monster running back with Trey Sermon, who ran 84 times for 675 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Master Teague, who ran 89 times for 449 yards, 6 touchdowns. Their defense was lacking their usual depth because of COVID, but was still strong, allowing 21 points and just 358 yards per game. Their defense was led by senior linebacker Pete Werner, who had 37 tackles and a sack. Clemson had to deal with losing their star quarterback Trevor Lawrence for 2 games due to positive COVID tests, losing one of those, 47-40 in double overtime to Notre Dame. They outscored their opponents by an average of 27.4 points per game. Their offense gained 507.6 yards and scored 44.9 points per game. Their offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott, who's called their plays for the last 6 seasons, will not travel to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. The school did not say why. They did not say whether he tested positive for the coronavirus. So we don't know, but that's probably the situation. Trevor Lawrence completed 69.2% of his passes for 2,753 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Amari Rodgers caught 69 passes for 966 yards, 7 touchdowns. Cornell Powell caught 45 passes for 743 yards, 5 touchdowns. Travis Etienne ran for 882 yards, 13 touchdowns, caught 44 passes for 524 yards, 2 touchdowns. So dangerous. So dangerous. Their defense was excellent, 298.5 yards, 17.5 points per game. They had 44 sacks on the season. Defensive end Xavier Thomas is questionable for an undisclosed injury, and linebacker Jake Venables is questionable with an arm injury. All right, here we go. The Sugar Bowl. John Ryan, take it away.
Well, this is a game that I really feel incredibly good about, and it's probably going to be a shocker to everybody, but I'll start out with this little clue. Ohio State played a much tougher schedule than Clemson did. And I, honest to God, think this game should be around a pick 'em. Ohio State hasn't They played 6 games. I get it, but they are very talented on offense in their own right. And when you look at the game film and how they run those routes, and they're called rub routes, where you're not allowed to pick players, so they call them rubs. And then they run that deep post pattern, and that's where Alabama has been lit up. Or not Alabama, Clemson. Why am I talking about Alabama again? Obviously, I mentioned Alabama because I think the championship game, and I would recommend this as a prop bet, even if it's not included on the show, a prop bet that Alabama plays Ohio State in the final. So I know this is all shocking, but I could talk about this game for an hour, and I promise I won't. But one of the things I do look at, and I'm looking at the notes now, is we talked about the implied line. So in games where Ohio State scores 28 or more, which is implied by this line, and my machine learning says that there's a 92% probability that they will score 28 or more, they have outstanding against the spread records, some of the best in the country. Now, if you flip it around, and let's say Ohio State's going to score 7 or more points more than the implied line, which is backed by the machine learning predictions. This puts Clemson in a really crappy situation. In fact, when they have allowed more than 7 points greater than the implied line, they've gone 7-34 against the spread. So the world is on Clemson. Believe me, I love Trevor Lawrence, and I hope he turns that Jacksonville franchise around in his first year. He's an incredible talent. Clemson's an incredible team, but I think we're in a sentiment situation here where everybody's automatically thinking that the game is over and Clemson's going to win and Clemson's going to play Alabama, and I am going to call the upset here.
Wow. Calling the upset. Do you have the sizable testicles to make this a money line wager?
I mean, it's not going to be 900 like LSU, so of course.
Do you want money line and points?
I do. I want to do the double up.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. A double up here. And first off, you're going to get plus 7.5. That's just that's a minus 114. There still are 7s on the board. Let's move over there and see what that is exactly here. 7.5 minus 110. There you go. It's circa.
Hey, Jimmy, I have one more thing to say real quick. I feel kind of important. This is one of the best money line systems I have. It's rather infrequent. It had 28 plays over the last 10 seasons using the money line. It's hit 64%, playing a 225 average dog. So rarely do you get a situation where you have a winning record of 64% and you're playing 225 dogs. It's usually favorites. So this system, for everybody to write it down, is you're going to play on underdogs using the money line plus 150 to plus 300 inclusive. That is by definition, an excellent offensive team gaining 6.25 or more yards per play and is facing a defense that is very good, allowing 4.2 to 4.75 yards per play. And with Ohio State being the dog here, they have to be coming off of 2 consecutive games, gaining 475 or more total yards, which they have done.
All right, let's get you the best money line for Ohio State. We have a plus 245 hanging at both FanDuel and Circa. So we'll give you plus 245 at FanDuel. Very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. We have the Nutflush family joining us in the chat. Mama Nutflush in the house as well. Nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We go down to Big Ragoo. Here we go. Sugar Bowl, take it away.
So everybody's got Clemson, a big bullseye on their back. Notre Dame has it. Ohio State from last year. And, of course, Alabama's always got it. So this, out of all the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, I think Clemson's got the biggest target, even though Alabama's, quote, the number 1 team in the nation. So they got that, not going against them, but, they got to carry that swagger with them wherever they go. And Ohio State's kind of licking their chops to take their shot at them here. And I think you're going to see there's a ton of talent on both sides of the ball for both of these teams. And one of these games here, I don't think this game's going to set up like the Notre Dame game. I think you're going to see a lot of fireworks in this game. Not so much on the defensive side, but you'll see some big plays made by the defenses, but you're going to see a ton of big plays made by the offensive here. Both teams are hitting the 40s and yielding like 20, 21 points a game. So I mean, if you go with the differential there, it puts them at about 30 points, which I think each team's going to easily hit the 30s. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Now, Sermon had a hell of a game. You say two-headed monster with Master T, they might as well go out and get Master P because they're going to need him too to try to take this team down. There's going to be a ton of sparks, ton of offense, and I really like the over in this game a lot. I'm going to get to the window with this one. I hope it goes down. Which way is the number leaning currently, Jimmy, on the total?
Well, there hasn't been much movement on it. Right now we have the total has gone. Actually, oh wait, sorry, I take that back. I was thinking of the Notre Dame Alabama one. Yes, it's moving up, and the indicator books are saying that it'll be 67 shortly. There are 66.5. There's even a couple 66s, but it's telling us that the 67 will be here shortly.
I think we'll see 80 points in this game.
I love it. This is. I think this makes a ton of sense. So we have the over. Are you going to add a side? Because you sounded like you were close.
No, actually, too many bullseye on Clemson's back. They could, if somebody finally could get revenge, but I'm hoping for that Clemson-Notre Dame Part 3 matchup. But I'm going to stick with the over. I think that's a better bet for the contest and to get to the window with.
Over 66.5 at -110, available at DraftKings. We come down to DJ Bigg Boss. Here we go, the other semifinal. Sugar Bowl, take it away.
I can't lie. I think I'm more interested in the Clemson-Alabama rematch. I mean, I could see the hairs on Saban's arms just rise up all the time, and Dabo just taunts him on and all this kind of stuff. But Dabo got his work cut out for him right here because, he big-time taunted Ohio State saying they shouldn't even be there. They didn't play enough games. Like, he really talked up some stuff, and he just had to rally the troops to come against Notre Dame, and he's gonna have to rally the troops again against this Ohio State team because they kind of want revenge. But Ohio State's not half as talented as they was last year. I think this team's just not as good as defensively and offensively overall. But I like the over 2 a lot because both of the Achilles heels for both teams has been downfield passes, like, 3rd and longs and stuff. People just get open. So I really like the over in this one. I wanted to take the over, but I'm gonna leave the over for Big Ragoo. I'm gonna go ahead and let Big Ragoo savor the over. And I'm gonna say if it's gonna go over, I'm hoping for overtime, and I'm gonna take the points and give me the dog in the fight. Because I lost big money last year taking Ohio State. So this is my the big payback like James Brown. Yeah. So shoot me the Ohio State plus the points.
Ohio State plus 7.5. And Props Profit came in with an important point saying if you want to bet Ohio State, wait. I think he's right there. This is going to be wild and very, very unexpected. But none of us are taking Clemson, which is shocking. I am going to wait to bet Ohio State. I think I can get better than plus 7.5 for this contest. I'll lock that in now. So that's plus 7.5 that John Ryan's getting and that Big Boss is getting. John Ryan's also on the plus 245 money line. I know Prince of the City is shocked. He's expecting Clemson beatdown. This will just help you guys who are on Clemson to know that there are other people on Ohio State. I think that we haven't seen Ohio State really.
It's true.
And we don't really know how good they are. We know that they've handled adversity pretty well. And that the idea that there's pieces, so many pieces to this defense we haven't seen, and we haven't seen them all on the field at the same time. I'm moving on to Ohio State plus 7.5. I also think that Ragoo's over is a nice look, so I'm taking both. Over 66.5 at minus 110 at DraftKings. Prince of the City laughing. I get it.
What's the team total on Clemson first? No, we can't get that, can we?
Sorry, say that again.
We can't get a first half team total.
First half team total. Some of these games you can get them. Let's see here if I can get that for you. And not yet.
No. What about the first half number?
The first half total we can get. Yes, the first half total is at 32.5.
The side.
The side, it's 4 each way.
4? Okay. No, I'm good.
All right. Very, very exciting. Kyle Sellers says 6.5 is high. I do. I did not expect that none of us would be on Clemson. Okay. There it is. No, I'm not taking the money line too, Prince. I want the 7.5. And I'm gonna wait to bet it. All right, that is all of Friday, the first day of 21's action, and very exciting stuff. Let's keep rolling. We move on to Saturday, January 2nd, 12 p.m. Eastern. It is the Gator Bowl. We're going to be starting with Big Ragoo for the breakdown here. Number 23 ranked NC State Wolfpack 8-3 versus Kentucky Wildcats 4-6 TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's pull up the odd page and see what we are looking at. Kentucky opening up as 3-point favorites. That's now 2.5. This total opened up at 51.5. It's now at 50.5. 50. There's even 49.5s now on the board. NC State closed out their season with 4 straight wins. Their offense gained 391.5 yards, scored 31.1 points per game. Junior quarterback Bailey Hawkman improved as the season went on, completing 63.7% of his passes for 1,820 yards, 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But he threw for 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions over his last 3 games, and he threw for over 300 in each of his last 2 games. Amika Amizi was his favorite target, catching 42 passes for 694 yards and 5 touchdowns. This NC State team also has 4 players with 400-plus yards receiving. They have 2 strong running backs with Donovan Knight, who ran for 736 yards and 9 touchdowns, and Ricky Person Jr. ran for 635 yards and 4 touchdowns. Their defense allowed 418.2 yards and 29.7 points per game. They're led by 6'4" sophomore linebacker Peyton Wilson. He had 108 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 2 interceptions. This team, I think, is stronger than people give them credit for. And they had 13 different players who recorded sacks. 8 of them recorded multiple sacks this year. They can give you a lot of different looks. And I'm interested in NC State, but I've not moved on them. I've moved on 3 games before getting here, but this isn't one of them. I was close. Let's go to Kentucky here. After losing 3 of 4 games to tough opponents in Georgia, Alabama, and Florida, Kentucky finished the season defeating South Carolina 41-18. Their defense kept them in games when their offense struggled. Their offense picked up just 311.8 yards per game. They scored just 21.7 points per game, but the schedule is much more difficult. Senior quarterback Terry Wilson struggled to move the ball this year. He completed 62.6% of his passes, 1,095 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He averaged just 6.1 yards of completion. He also ran for 410 yards and 5 touchdowns. His favorite target, Josh Ali, caught 49 passes for 461 yards, 460 yards, 1 touchdown. And notice that 1 touchdown. And it's because no one else caught more than 14 passes. So whenever you got to the red zone, if you were, not on the goal line, you knew who to cover. It was just Josh Ali. They have 2 quality running backs in Chris Rodriguez, 701 yards, 9 touchdowns. Azim Rose Jr., 518 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their defense allowed 26.4 points, 387 yards per game. They were stout, despite only getting 12 sacks on the year. 6'4", 234-pound junior linebacker Jamin Davis had 89 tackles, 1 sack, 2 interceptions. Okay, take it away. Big Ragoo, the Gator Bowl.
You talk about Kentucky playing some tough customers. Well, they get another one on deck because NC State put together a nice little season. And you talk about Hawkman, he threw an interception in every game except for I think when they played Georgia Tech was the only time he didn't throw a pick. But he still developed nicely. I like what they did up at NC State this season. Kentucky's Achilles heel is their offense, and they've had some interesting stuff going on with the offense. Defensively, we know they're pretty decent. You know, they and then Stoops, they brought in an LA quarterback coach, Liam Cohen, to be the team's new offensive coordinator. So and then I guess they released their offensive coordinator and then offensive line coach. So they got two new moving pieces there. I just think in this particular spot for them, they're going to try some things in the game that maybe they haven't tried all season long, especially with the new coaching staff. But I think NC State is a better rounded team, and I think the wrong team's favored in this game. I know NC State has had some struggles against the SEC. I think they're like 0-7 their last 7 ATS, but their overs have been good looks in bowl games. Kentucky's numbers, you know, not too impressive, but with they're 7-0 against non-conference the last 7 ATS. So everything points Kentucky with the numbers and the trends. But if you look at the inner pieces, it puts me on NC State. You know, better talent all around. Even though they played, like you say, maybe a weaker schedule, but they put together a nice little season, and they got the momentum going in. So I just think too many things going wrong with Kentucky and getting points with NC State. I'm going to take NC State money line in this spot.
Let's see what we can get you on the money line. It's not glorious. There's plus 115 at Circa.
That's it?
Well, yeah, that's it at this point. We're at the odds.com odds page, and it's not good. From plus 105 to plus 115. Yeah. This was the same situation that we had, Doc, with Mississippi State. And we ended up, at least, I can't remember exactly what you did, but I ended up taking the 2.5 points. I just didn't think there was enough risk reward there. A plus 2.5 is minus 105 at BetMGM.
Yeah, all right, that's good. I'll do that.
Yeah,
that's the only look I had. I mean, that was one I was kind of hoping to get like plus 125 or something like that. But.
Agreed. Absolutely. Okay, we have Ragoo in on NC State plus 2.5 and minus 105, and that is available at BetMGM. All right, let's move over to DJ Bigg Boss. We have our first game, 12 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, January 2nd, the Gator Bowl. Take it away.
This one right here, it looks like a dead under, but I'm scared to mess with it in the bowl game right here. Kentucky offense has been bad. Both teams play pretty good defense. It's a clear sign for under. We're getting like, 50.5 right now. Sounds good, but I don't trust this NC State team. I'm still scarred from the Liberty game. No way can I back the NC State team. I was really high on Kentucky early in the season. I didn't even really expect them to fall into a bowl game, especially with their record this year. But, this one right here, I'm going to say they outclassed. Kentucky outclassed NC State, and I'm going to take Kentucky minus the points.
Yeah, I understand that take. We can get you a -2, a minus 111 at DraftKings. -2, minus 111. Does that sound good?
That's good for me.
All right. We have Boss on Kentucky -2, minus 111 at DraftKings. John Ryan, your take.
Well, the game is an interesting matchup. It should be pretty close. This is the 5th consecutive bowl game that Kentucky is going to, which I believe is the school record. So, shout out, kudos out to those guys. NC State, I agree, 8-3, kind of smoke and mirrors some of the time. They're averaging 31 points a game on offense, but 2 of their last 3 games, they never even came close to getting 31. And in the game they did, they scored 38, I believe, against Syracuse. And we know Syracuse was dismal. So as you can tell where I'm going with this conversation, we're going to the under. And Kentucky is 11-1 under, facing good passing teams. And by that, I mean averaging 250 or more passing yards per game. in all games played in the last 3 seasons. And we find out, too, that Kentucky is 11-2 under in road games after allowing 275 or more rushing yards last game. So that gives you the bounce back play, too, that supports the under. NC State is 45-25 under after gaining 100 or less rushing yards in their last game. And I have a system, too, that I'll share with you guys. Bear with me 1 second here. Here we go. We have playing under in neutral field games, where the total is between 49 and 56 points, with the team winning 4 or 5 of their last 6 games. Non-conference game between 2 teams from major Division 1A conferences. So that would be the infamous Big Five for the most part, the Power Five. So that has hit 71% winners on a 60, 23, and 2 pushes record. So you can mark me down for the under, Jimmy.
Let's get it for you. The full game under for John Ryan here. And this makes sense to me. Let's see what the market move on it is. It's moved from 51.5. There is even a 49.5 on the board. Let's see what we can get you, though. Yeah, FanDuel's moved to 49.5. We can get you 50.5 at minus 110, unless you would prefer 50 at minus 105.
What was the first one?
50.5 at minus 110.
I'll take that.
John Ryan is on the under 50.5 minus 110. The under makes a lot of sense. Before I lock in NC State, which I will be, Ragoo, what do you think of this total? I think this under makes sense.
Yeah, let me see here a second. 50.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. My numbers come up with like 46.5 is what I come up with. So I would lean under if I wouldn't play the over.
Yeah, I think the under makes sense, John. So were you under 50.5 minus 110 at BetMGM? So I'm moving on 2 spots here. I am taking NC State plus 2.5, and that is available at minus 105, available at BetMGM. And I'm also on the under 50.5. The under 50.5 here. And I'm getting under 50.5 at minus 110, also at BetMGM. All right. We roll on here to the Outback Bowl. And this is a game I already bet. I already doubled up here on Indiana. Ole Miss is an absolute mess. And my book was still hanging the 8. So I jumped all over it. And it's still hanging an 8, although it's moved. Oh, no, did I get minus 115? I think I got minus 110. Moved to minus 115 on the 8. Ole Miss, Indiana. Indiana opening up as 7-point favorites. That's moved up to 9 in some books. And the indicator books have moved to 9. There are 8s. There are 8.5s. This total opened up at 69.5. It's dropped to 66, 65.5, or 65. All right, the Outback Bowl, Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida. Ole Miss had their 3-game winning streak snapped in the regular season, ending 53-48 loss to LSU. Their offense was very strong all year, averaging 562.4 yards and 40.7 points per game. But their offense will be missing key parts. Ole Miss has opt-out issues, they have injury issues, and they have COVID issues. And it took a long time to figure everything out. First off, Elijah Moore, first-team All-American, leads the nation in both receptions per game at 10.8 and receiving yards per game at 149.1. Opted out. He opted out actually before Ole Miss's last regular season game, so a lot of you already knew that. Kenny Yeboah, 4th ranked nationally among tight ends in receiving per game. He's opted out. So the one game they played without Moore and Yeboah was the regular season final against LSU, and it was an interesting game. They lost 53-48, and Matt Corral threw 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. Leading rusher, Jerry and Eli, 5-star recruit, first-team All-SEC, hasn't practiced since he got hurt in the LSU game. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to get more information leading up, but at this point, it's hard to expect him to be there. Their second leading receiver behind Moore, Braylon Sanders, also got hurt. So he's questionable. Now, Corral's very dangerous, completing 71.3% of his passes, 2,995 yards, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He threw for 925 yards, 10 TDs, 0 interceptions in back-to-back wins over Vandy and South Carolina. But their defense is dreadful. They allow 40.3 points per game, 535.7 yards per game. They registered just 14 sacks and 5 interceptions through 9 games. Indiana had a very strong season. Their lone loss coming by 7 points at Ohio State. Their offense put up 30.1 points per game. Despite picking up just 358.1 yards per game, they lost Michael Penix Jr. Season ankle injury, second last game of the season. 6'4" sophomore Jack Tuttle came in, and he played pretty well. He played very conservatively. His lone start against a tough Wisconsin defense, he went 13-22 for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They won that game. He transferred from Utah. He was the highest-rated recruit in the school's history. Ty Freifogel is their deep threat, catching 34 passes for 687 yards, 7 touchdowns. Stevie Scott, the third, ran 137 times for 462 yards, 8 touchdowns. His average of 3.4 yards per rush is not good. Their defense is excellent. They allowed just 19.4 points, 361.7 yards. Linebacker Micah McFadden, 52 tackles, 5 sacks, 1 interception. Defensive backs Tywan Mullen and Jamar Johnson combined for 70 tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 7 interceptions in just 70 games. I doubled up on Indiana, and I plan on doing that here. We start with DJ Bigg Boss, and we're going to go around the horn. Outback Bowl, take it away.
I really enjoy watching Indiana play this year. Everybody should understand that Indiana is one of the king of the transfers, one of those teams that really capitalized on the transfers this year, and it worked out for them good. But Indiana did good in conference. You know, I don't think Indiana was prepared to go out of conference and play against an opponent like Mississippi. Now, even though all that's happened and these players playing the COVID, whatever, I mean, it's still an SEC school that recruits quality athletes, to have a quality coach there. Like, people go there for good reasons at Ole Miss. So I can't take anything away from Ole Miss despite the circumstances. And 8 might be too many to lay with Indiana. But where I see the most value in this one, and I'm going to use the word value, is in the first half, taking the over, because I think that with the difference with Indiana playing out of conference, Ole Miss offering something. Ole Miss can't play defense. They're not trying to play defense. They're like, you got to beat us to the punch. You know what I mean? So they're not going to play defense. They're going to come in the game to score. Indiana defense is good. It was good in the conference against teams that they played before that they understand. But to step out of conference and play a team like Ole Miss, it's going to take a lot more. Now, I don't know if this group right here, now it says that like 10 players on Indiana come from Tampa, Florida. So what I'm telling you off top with the transfer and all that is real. 10 of the players come from Tampa, Florida, so they should be excited to score. But I don't think that they have any strategies to totally shut down Mississippi, even though, you know, despite all the outcomes of what's going on at Mississippi, they still have a solid coach. They still have a program that's moving forward. I'm taking the over first half.
It's a very interesting take, boss. I enjoyed it very much. First half total. I'm going to line shop for him. Let's go to John Ryan. Take it away.
Well, I like the over in this game, and I think tagging along with DJ's themes here for this game, I think it does play over. And believe it or not, there's something that a little trend that works against Indiana. And, you know, I agree with you, Jim. I can't imagine Mississippi winning this game. But Indiana has won all their games, won against the spread, all their games. They've won 7. They're 7-0. So teams that are going into a bowl game that are favored, that are on a 7-game ATS streak, are just 3-9 against the number in that bowl game. So it kind of is a head scratcher. You'd have to have a lot of guts to go against Indiana. The last time this happened was in 2018 on January 1st. LSU was a minus 2-point favorite at Notre Dame and lost the games 21-17. Another big game was Penn State back in 2006 playing Florida State. Same situation. Penn State comes in, on a 7-game ATS streak, and they squeak out a 26-23 win against Florida State. So it'd be really tough to take Mississippi here because of everything you guys have outlined, but I like the over, and that's what I'm going to go with.
Are you a double up there for that full game or full game only?
This full game on the over.
Okay, full game on the over. Well, let's first have our man Big Boss make a decision here. Big Boss, you have some options. You have over 32 at minus 115, over 33 at minus 110.
Oh, anyway it go. Give me over 33. Anyway it go, it's got to be a touchdown after the 28.
Over 33 minus 110 at Circa for DJ Bigg Boss. I'm gonna shop for the best full game total for John Ryan. Let's hear Big Ragoo's take on this spot here, and we are talking Outback Bowl.
Outback, right down the street, Tampa. And DJ says 10 guys from Tampa to be playing at home this weekend, right, DJ? Coming up. All right, so Indiana, it's the first time since like 68 that they've been ranked higher. Their highest ranking ever, number 7 by the AP. I think the college football playoffs had them like 11. So they just missed from playing New Year's Day. I think Iowa State kind of edged them out with the voting and all. But anyways, nice squad. I like Indiana. Had a nice season. But here's a shocking thing if you look at Ole Miss. Now, right away you think with Kiffin, the offensive whiz that he is, air out, yes. The opt-outs he had with the wide receiver position, the skill position players, most definitely. But did you know that they had the number 1 rushing offense in the SEC at 217 yards a game, and third and scoring 40 points a game. But they're going to be missing some pieces without a doubt. But I was thinking, just listening to you guys talk, and I started looking at some numbers here, that especially with the rushing, I think they're going to have a different approach with this Indiana squad. Now, Indiana on the defensive side, they have a pretty good defensive scheme against the rush. I think they're ranked like 33rd in the country, where on the other side, like you were saying, they're atrocious on defense. So right away you're going to equate that to points being scored. But I think Kiffin is going to have to look elsewhere to kind of try to, not so much get in a shooting match, because he doesn't have to, because I don't think Indiana is going to put up points. I don't think they're going to be in a hurry-up mode to put up points. I think they're going to try to ground and pound too a little bit here. I don't think they're going to air it out. So I like the under. I'm leaning towards the under here, but I'm also leaning towards Mississippi plus the points. I think they've been in a lot of games. All their games they've lost, even though they've lost a bunch of games, they still come out on the plus side on a differential, which is mind-boggling. They've been in a lot of closer games, and I think this is going to be one of those type games too. And even though they have the talent loss, I'm going to use John Steele with the next up talent. I think Kiffin is going to do a good job in this game. I think it's not because Indiana hasn't been here before, because they haven't. It's going to be like a new situation for them. They've been licking their chops to get here for a while. I just think it's going to play out with Kiffin's. I think Kiffin's going to be the difference in this game to keep it close. Even though he might not have all the pieces in place, he'll have a scheme to kind of make this a game of it. I think Indiana probably wins by 3 points.
Wow.
I'm gonna take the under and Mississippi plus the points.
Fascinating breakdown. We got Big Boss first half over 33 at minus 110 at Circa. We got John Ryan full game over 65 at minus 110 at Circa. So
you had Mississippi on the money line, because I'm gonna pull out all stops to try to catch you.
Whoa!
I credit Big Ragoo when he said that I don't know how he worded it, but it made me shake my head like this, and I thought, yep, I'm feeling pretty good about this.
Wow.
Ohio State and Mississippi with the money line parlay.
John, we've got every game that I'm looking at. I'm basically going against an SEC team. I says the SEC is usually money in these bowl games, and I'm on the opposite side on like 80% of them. I says, you know what? They got to win some games sooner or later. They're not going to just blanket. You're not just going to have, Georgia bow out or, even the mediocre teams like Auburn and, you got Mississippi State. One of these, I bet half of those teams are going to win games as underdogs somewhere along the line. So I think this is a good spot.
I think the SEC this year may be a little overvalued because of what Alabama's doing.
Yeah,
and just because you're associated with the SEC means you're better than everybody else. So I think the market's got ahead of itself.
And you can get a great line here, Ragoo, plus 9.5 at minus 112 at FanDuel.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And then you want full game under. I'm going to line shop for full game under. Big Boss, any last words here, hearing that they're backing Ole Miss? Any last words while I line shop?
No, I'm gonna stay right there on the first half, man. Not one of my favorite games on the card, but I do see a nice angle on the over, but I'll just take it first half.
Bullish with John Ryan's on the money line now with
No, not at all. I was more surprised that you was on the other side, Jimmy, because I see that. I mean, if you look at Mississippi's record, Mississippi will go to the wire with a lot of teams. Like they don't come. This kind of like reminds me of the Rams back in the day with Kurt Warner. Like we don't come to play defense. We come to get in the end zone and get in your head. So with giving them more than a touchdown, that's a lot. So I was already on that side. But Kiffin knows his stuff, man. Kiffin's been around. Like bowl games are about coaching. So if you don't believe in Kiffin, then I can understand why you're on the other side. But if you think this guy didn't come over here to Mississippi and make a couple good wins this year, even though he has some losses too, and is not ready to try to get his recruiting up and everything up by winning this bowl game, you got to be not watching NCAA football.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So this is what we have. We're moving on to the Fiesta Bowl, but for the Outback Bowl, we're all so Big Boss first half over 33, John Ryan over 65 full game, and the plus 270 money line. That over 65 at minus 110. Where did I get that for? I believe I got you for that circa. Yeah, let me just have that notes here.
And let me get the over full game too, Jimmy. Let me double up on that.
So you want that over 65 as well? Over 65.
Yeah.
Minus
I'm
1.
rolling with the wizard. They call John Ryan the wizard around Twitter. I'm rolling with the wizard.
All right.
I saw that once.
Ragoo at plus 9.5, minus 112. And full game under 65.5. And I've doubled up. BetMGM still hanging at 3.5 at minus 120 on the first half. I'll take that. And then full game minus 8, best I can find. Okay. We move on to the Fiesta Bowl. 4 p.m. Eastern is when we pop off. John Ryan's going to be starting this breakdown. We have number 25 ranked Oregon Ducks versus number 10 Iowa State Cyclones. Oregon 4-2, Iowa State 8-3. We're at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. 2 games left on this card. So this total opened up at 56.5 in the license books. It's shut up to 58. They're even at 58.5. But the indicator books have kept it at 57.5. The Iowa State Cyclones open up as 4-point favorites, and that's where they stand right now. Oregon bounced back from back-to-back road losses at Oregon State and California by replacing the Huskies in the Pac-12 title game because of the Huskies' COVID issues and defeating USC 31-24. Their offense was strong all year, gaining 429.7 yards, 33.7 points per game. 6'5" sophomore quarterback Tyler Shuck completed 62.7% of his passes for 1,480 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He also ran for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I'm high on this quarterback. I think he'll play on Sundays when he's done in Oregon. They have 3 receivers who caught 13-plus passes for 200-plus yards. And remember, this is just 6 games. So they also have 2 dangerous tight ends. Running back Travis Dye ran for 391 yards, 1 touchdown. Running back C.J. Verdell did not travel with Oregon to the Pac-12 title game. Mario Cristobal, their head coach, said there's a chance he will return for this game. He ran for 285 yards and 3 touchdowns. He said the same thing about an important offensive lineman, Umave Laulu. They said that he may be in the lineup, may not. We don't know. Their defense allowed 409.5 yards and 27.3 points per game. And cornerback Dante Manning is very close to returning. We will find out. Junior linebacker Isaac Slade Matu Udia led the defense with 38 tackles and 1 sack out of Hawaii. Good-looking linebacker. Iowa State had their 5-game winning streak snapped with a 27-21 loss in the Big 12 championship game. They put up 441.1 yards of offense a game, 32.8 points per game. Junior quarterback Brock Purdy completed 66.4% of his passes for 18 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He had thrown for 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the 3 games leading up to the Big 12 championship, where he struggled through 3 picks, 1 touchdown pass. His favorite target is Xavier Hutchinson, who caught 60 passes for 726 yards, 4 touchdowns. They have a dangerous tight end as well. Charlie Kolar, 39 catches, 538 yards, 6 touchdowns. But they're led by star sophomore running back Breece Hall, who ran for 1,436 yards, 19 touchdowns. He's a monster. Their defense allowed just 343 yards, 21.8 points per game, led by 6'4", 245-pound junior linebacker Mike Rose. This guy's a monster. 90 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 4 interceptions. They're a healthy group. They have a defensive back, Arnold Azuna, and offensive lineman Jake Remsburg, questionable with undisclosed injuries. But they are a healthy group. We start with John Ryan, Fiesta Bowl. Take it away.
Well, I'm going to be on the under in this game, and it's another contrarian play that I like. And teams that lost their championship game, as I pull up this little system, they lost their championship game as a dog and now are favored in the bowl game, are 28-11 under for 72% winners going back to 2006. They're also 19-28 against the spread for 60% losers. So if you bet against Iowa State and take the under, that's what this system is saying, but the under is far more powerful based on that. So I think this game, in my opinion, portends to an over. The world is betting the over. I think the last consensus figures I scraped off the internet was like 78%, and accounting for barely 50% of the money. So that also adds fuel to my fire for the under. And we do have a system here. Let me get it here. I actually don't. I apologize. I don't know where that system got. I had it right here on my page, and now it disappeared.
No worries. You'll have a second to look it up.
Yeah.
We're going to go around the horn here. You were looking for the full game under?
Yeah, full game under, and I'll leave it at that.
Full game under. I will line shop for you, John. I'll come back and give you some shopping opportunities and give you a chance to pick up what you're looking for. Let's move over to Big Ragoo here, Fiesta Bowl, Oregon, Iowa State.
I made a mistake with Oregon this year because I bet against them against USC. I usually like Oregon as a dog, but I was pretty high on UC, but they turned out to be posers, and Oregon took advantage of that opportunity. And like you said, their QB will be a coach or playing on Sundays, and I think one day Matt Campbell, he'll be coaching on Sundays too when he gets his opportunity, because he's done a hell of a job with this Iowa State team. But they live and die by Purdy. He's I'm not going to call him a spark plug, but he's like the ultimate game manager for them, and they go by. And they were still able to win with the 3 picks, which was surprising. But I think they're going to get a different look this week against Oregon here. Oregon, they've been on this stage before. This is the first time that Iowa State's played on New Year's Day in the New Year's Day Bowl, and deservedly so. I just like the opportunity at Oregon. That it's kind of like, they shouldn't be here, but they are. And now that they're in the spotlight, they've been there before. They know how to win as an underdog. And even though they have a lot of nice pieces up on the other side with Iowa State and their defense, I think the line on this game is right where it needs to be on the total and the number. It's probably the sharpest line that I come up with, up and down the board here for the bowl games. So I didn't have a play, but for the contest, trying to make up a little bit of ground here, I think I'm going to take Oregon on the money line in this spot. Just because it's something I like to do with Oregon when I play them as an underdog. I like them to win outright. I think their defense is good enough. I think they can hang with this team, and I think they're equally matched as far as talent. And I think it's a good opportunity for Oregon to come in there and walk away with on New Year's Day.
Is this a double up spread and money line or just money line?
No, yeah, I'm going to double. I'm going to take them. No, I'm just going to take the money line here. I'm not going to take the spread.
All right, we have a money line look for the big Ragoo on Oregon, and plus 155 at Circa. We can do better than that. Yeah, we can get you a plus 165 at PointsBet.
That sounds like a plan.
Ragoo plus 165 PointsBet. And John, quickly for your total, there are options here. The highest total is 58.5 at FanDuel. It comes with minus 114 juice. That is at 58.5. Sorry, move here.
That'll work.
Okay, cool. That's the highest one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to DJ Bigg Boss here. Fiesta Bowl. Take it away.
Man, I tell you, this Oregon team got to be one of the luckiest teams during the pandemic of them all. I mean, they was out of the championship game. They got the call. They got in there. They won, and now they off into a bowl game. And in the bowl game, they're playing in the. You forget to mention this is the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Each in the gift package, each player gets a PS5. So
wow.
Oregon got down there for a PS5 in the bowl game. You're getting a PS5. You going to Glendale, Arizona. I mean, they got so many benefits for them over there, man. It's unbelievable. I think the train stops here though, and I learned this from Big Ragoo hanging out in the sports book sometimes. Sometimes you can hold the numbers up, you can do the totals, you can do whatever. But sometimes you just get a real gut feeling that, hey, this team's going to kick the shit out of the other team. I mean, I'm high on teams that played 11 games total compared to a team that played 6 games for the season, who was already put out of this thing and bounced back. And this Iowa State team, it'd be all fun and games if they was just skimming by. But this Iowa State team played some tough games. They played some good football. And I was expecting them, to kind of just be mediocre this year. But, here they are in the bowl game against this West Coast team. And we seen what happened with Colorado. Pac-12 couldn't do it. The Pac-12 just ain't it. It ain't it, especially in this pandemic that we got right here. So I'm just going to throw it off the shoulder and say Iowa State minus the points.
Iowa State.
Pretty cool stat here, if you don't mind me interrupting.
The
quarterbacks are both from Arizona. Purdy played at Perry High in Gilbert and Shao, and Hamilton High in neighboring in Chandler, wherever that is. It's all in Arizona. They met twice in high school with Perry, led by Purdy, prevailing 65-63 and 63-60. So this is also the third time that the Ducks are coming to the Fiesta Bowl. But I thought that high school stat was pretty amazing.
Iowa State -4, -109 for Big Boss. This is very tough for me, but I have a very, very good ROI fading the Pac-12 teams. And when it comes down to it, I just feel like Iowa State is bigger. And I don't know how good the teams that Oregon were playing. And they lost to a couple of them. And we overvalued USC because of what Slovis was doing late. And I don't question whether Iowa State is good. I know they are. And I like that Iowa State's coming off of a loss. I like that. Oregon coming off a win. I am going to stay with defading the Pac teams. I'm going to be with Big Boss on Iowa State -4. and that's where we land. So we have John Ryan on under 58.5, Big Ragoo plus 165, Big Boss Iowa State -4, -109, and I'm on Iowa State -4, 109. And this was such a tough game for me. I don't know if I am. I'm not going to bet this tonight. I'll just leave that at that. There we go. All right, last game on the card. What a job you guys have done. Orange Bowl time. Number 5 ranked Texas A&M Aggies, 8-1 on the year. First, number 13th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. I've already doubled up on Texas A&M first half and full game. We're at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. Texas A&M opens up at -6. That moves to -7.5. This total opens up at 68.5 and is now at 65.5. Texas A&M had an excellent season after losing in week 2, 52-24 at Alabama. They ran the table, won 7 straight games. They ended up on the outside looking in for the big playoffs. Their offense put up 437.2 yards, scored 31.9 points per game. Senior quarterback Kellen Mond led the way, completing 63.5% of his passes for 2,050 yards, 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That 19-3 is beautiful. He also ran for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had trouble connecting with wide receivers. His favorite target was tight end Jalen Weidemeyer. 45 passes he caught for 6 touchdowns. Running back Isaiah Spiller ran for 986 yards and 7 touchdowns. They also have Anya Smith, a running back who ran for 293 yards, 4 touchdowns, but very dangerous catching balls out of the backfield. Second in receiving for this team, 37 catches, 439 yards, 6 touchdowns. Their defense was very strong, allowed just 316.6 yards per game, 21.1 points. Senior linebacker Buddy Johnson led the defense with 76 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 interception. North Carolina finished the season winning 4 or 5 games, culminating in that big 62-26 win in Miami last week of the season. The Tar Heels are dealing with injuries and opt-outs. Their offense was excellent this year. They averaged 43 points and 556.6 yards per game. Sophomore quarterback Sam Howell was very good. Completed 69% of his passes, 3,352 yards, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. They had a 2-headed monster at running back. Michael Carter and Javonte Williams both rushed for over 1,000 yards, combined for 28 touchdowns. Both have opted out to prepare for the draft. Their third-string running back, DJ Jones, will be out with a foot injury. They are searching for backfield depth. And you lose the top 3 running backs, but they were so heavy with those top two during the year. Leading receiver, Jamie Brown, 55 receptions, 1,099 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's also opted out. So there's your best 2 running backs, your best receiver, gone. Their defense gave up an average of 395.8 yards and 28.4 points per game. They are going to miss the leader of that defense, Chaz Surratt, 91 tackles, 6 sacks, and interception. He's opted out. They have some injuries to Storm Duck, a defensive back with lower body injury, and Obi Egbuna, undisclosed, but those guys play smaller roles. It's enough for me to understand that North Carolina won't be able to run the ball. So all you have to do is focus on the wide receivers and Sam Howell, and they're missing their best receiver, and Texas A&M has a great defense. I'm all over the Aggies. Here we go. Big Ragoo, Hard Rock Stadium. We were there together, my friend, not so long ago. This is the last game on our bowl coverage card. Take it away.
Yeah, everything. I mean, everything points at A&M right now. And the line moved up, what, a half a point so far? If you think it's going to rise up before the game kicks off, maybe to 7.5, 8 points possibly. I mean, we still got some time. But I don't know, man. I just Mac Brown, I know he's been there before and done that. If anybody can motivate a team and get his team ready to play, it's Mac Brown. My initial take on the game was the over. I had a dead over on this thing, but I know they kind of run that balanced attack, and then Howell's very dangerous outside the pocket, and with that 2-headed monster, like you're saying, gone, opted out. That's definitely going to hurt them. And then A&M's defense is nasty. Mon's having a pretty good year. I mean, it's a pretty easy cap if you look at it. It's just whether they get to the number. Did you double or triple up in this spot here?
I doubled. I first half full gamed it.
Yeah, I think that would. I still got an inclination of maybe a team total here for A&M or for North Carolina under possibly. I might look at that. Maybe a team total. Let's see what the team. What do you got for a team total for A&M or for Carolina? Even though they score 40-something points a game,
I think it's a very interesting look. Let me pull it up for you right now. The team total, 27.5, and that under. If you want to go under the 27.5, it's plus 110.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a stab with that. I'm gonna take the under on. I'm gonna take the under there, and then I'm gonna take a first half look on A&M.
Wow, that's interesting. So that number is going to go up because it's minus 150 to the over, dog. So that'll be at 28.5 tomorrow. So you're getting a plus 110 on that team total under.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay, let's bring up your first half options here. So Circa giving the best full game at -7. Let's see what they're giving first half. Or Circa is -4, but let's just see if I can beat that. This is our last game, and BetMGM's giving you 3.5, but it's very expensive. Okay, so you could get -4 at -110 or -4.5 at plus 100.
Give me the 4.
So we're going to first half.
Here's my only concern with A&M. How motivated do you think they're going to be after getting shunned? I know Jimbo pleaded out, they deserve to be in. I wonder how they're going to come out for this game. That's the only thing. You know who scares me is Brown, because he's like the master motivator. He'll make me and you want to run through a brick wall if we were on the sideline.
So
that guy's magic. But it's just I don't know. I think the team total under is probably the best look for with all the pieces missing. And if they spy Howell, and then they could probably, maybe full game under too. It might be a good look too. What are we looking at on the total for the game?
The full game has dropped from 68.5 to 65.5, 66.
I'll take the 66 under also.
So we have a triple up for the Big Ragoo. He's on first half -4 for A&M, -110. He's on North Carolina team total under 27.5 at plus 110. It's available at Bet365. And he's also on the full game under. I'm going to line shop for your full game under. Let's go to DJ Bigg Boss. Last game on the card, the Orange Bowl. Take it away.
Well, here's Texas A&M again. SEC school really killing them on the strength of schedule, and that might have something to do with the hook on the line. But I really like this North Carolina team. Plus they played Notre Dame, so since they played Notre Dame, they thought much better of themselves. So now they're going in this game to win, and just like Big Ragoo said, like Mac Brown is the guy. This is what he's known for doing. They might have had a 8-3 season, but this is where he makes the money right here. So I really like Mac Brown. I'm all about coaching. I like him grouping up the troops. But more impressive than all, one of the most impressive quarterbacks in college football to me was Sam Howell, and I really like what he does over there. And he's going to be difficult for Texas A&M. Texas A&M is coming from SEC ball, use a little strength, a little muscle, run a little basic play, and try to quality athlete your way out of there. Mac Brown is using speed. He's using play calling. He's using all types of different aspects of trying to win the game. And think about it. If these guys are opting out in this Mac Brown system, now Mac Brown here has been long enough to get some recruits and everything into the system. You don't think these guys is as fast as these guys? You think these guys that's leaving run a 4.5 or 4.2, and these guys right here run a 4.7? No, these guys are just as fast, just as explosive. Some of them may be a little better. We don't know. We'll see in this game. But I'm gonna go ahead. Like Big Ragoo, I think you just might have been late to the punch, like you said. SEC. They're going to win some of them earlier games. But this late game right here, this is where they're going to lose to an ACC team for North Carolina. They're going to put it in there. So you're going to give me 7 in the hook, or can I get better than that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think you might be able to get an 8. Let me shop for you.
Wait. Before you shop. No, let's change it around for him. We're going to have some fun. Let me get North Carolina first half plus the points. And then give me North Carolina full game money line.
Ooh.
Upset alert.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, you can have 3.5 at plus 110, 4 at minus 110, 4.5 at minus 120.
Give me 3.5 minus 110. I want to win.
Plus 110.
Oh, 3.5 plus 110. I'll take that.
Okay.
Give me a field goal and a cookie. That's good for me.
Boss, first half,
Chocolate
NC,
chip, too.
plus 3.5 at plus 110. And that is available at BetMGM. BetMGM. All right. And then full game money line for Big Boss. We'll go to the money lines here. Shopping on odds.com. And we have
One thing, Jim.
Yeah.
So Sam Howell, he was recruited by Florida State. And then,
Oh yeah, I read that story.
yeah, so this guy knows him pretty good on the other side of the field.
Yep.
Well, you know what's even more with that? He committed to Florida State and then bailed to stay in North Carolina. So you don't think Fisher, has a little something to prove here?
Wait a minute, but in that situation, it's kind of like the telephone. It works both ways. You could call, you can be called. So just like, Jimbo Fisher might have an edge from recruiting this guy, but this guy might have an edge because Jimbo Fisher knows really how good he is.
He might not have an edge. He might have a little disdain.
Yeah, he may charge. He may cause a problem.
Commit. Those coaches don't forget that, but.
And the players don't either. The players know what's going on. Sam Howell ain't in there playing for fun. He's
Sam Howell's producing. That's all I got to say.
37.5 is the team total for Texas A&M. Not Flush asking. All right, we have John Ryan to put a bow on this card and on this game. John, take it away.
Well, two things. Both coaches come from colleges that won national championship games. Texas and Florida State. So this is a great coaching matchup, and it should be a very fun chess game to watch. I think Texas A&M, and you have to be careful with this, and this is my experience talking to myself and everybody else, that A&M should be really pissed off that they're not in the Final Four. And honestly, as you already know, I think they would have put up a much better matchup against Alabama than what we're going to see. But, Fisher's been there, and he is a strong enough coach that he's going to tell his players, stop crying. You didn't get in. Maybe next year you'll get in. But this year, you know what? You didn't get in. But we're playing in the Orange Bowl, and we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to bring a load, and we're going to show ourselves who we really are. We have nothing to prove to anybody else. We have nothing to prove to the committee. So I say that because, sometimes we get emotional with betting, and you see a team like A&M and you go, oh, my God, they're going to kill them because they're pissed off. Well, I played sports just like these guys did, and sometimes when you're pissed off is when you make the worst possible play you can ever imagine in your life because you're not focused. So, I think my play is going to be on A&M as DJ and I were going back and forth. One of the main reasons is Texas A&M has a SOS of 45. North Carolina is down in the low 30s. And really the only team that comes to mind here recently is Notre Dame. And they went into Chapel Hill and won 31-17 as 4.5-point favorites. And that was a week where the media was saying, oh, Notre Dame's in trouble. Notre Dame's in trouble. Well, North Carolina gained 87 rushing yards against Notre Dame, 211 passing yards, by Howell. Now I ask you all, and the chat room can answer too, who's the better defense, Notre Dame or Texas A&M? If you think Texas A&M, then the pick is obvious. So you can put me down for A&M.
I doubled up first half, full game. What are you doing?
I'll do full game.
Full game.
Actually, I'll join you, Jimmy. I'll do the same thing.
First half -4 at -110 at circa, and full game -7 at -110. I agree with that breakdown, and that's why I think Ragoo going over to that team total under 27.5 at plus 110 was nice. I'm doing the same there. So I've tripled up there. John Ryan on first half full game. John, any addition team total anything before we put a bow on this?
No, just those two, the game, Texas A&M in first half.
All right, that is everything in all the games. Paco Healy saying, boss, are you on San Jose? Very, very interesting here to let you know about that game because Boss and I cashed on San Jose State against Nevada. And against Nevada and Boise State. But only John Ryan is on San Jose State. Boss, Ragoo, and I are all on that plus 10 for Ball State. And there's 9. The leading indicator books are saying that's going down tonight.
I got a money line on that too.
Oh, you do? Sorry, that's wild. Ragoo's at plus 290 on the money line. Okay, great work, everybody. Thank you all for being a part of our bowl shows and our contest. It's been extremely enjoyable. I'm going to review everybody's action quickly. Let me know if there's any mistakes here. Okay, this is everybody's action starting January 1st, 12 p.m. at the Peach Bowl. John Ryan's on Georgia minus 6.5. Big Ragoo's on Georgia minus 6.5. Big Boss is on Georgia, Cincinnati over 50.5. Georgia minus 6.5. And I am on Cincinnati plus 7. For the Citrus Bowl, Ragoo's on Northwestern minus 3. Big Boss is Northwestern, Auburn under 43.5. John Ryan and I are on the over 43.5. For the Rose Bowl, Big Boss is on the under 56.5. John Ryan has the Alabama double up, first half full game, minus 11, minus 19 respectively. Ragoo's on the under 65.5, and he's on Notre Dame first half plus 11, and I'm on Notre Dame team total under 21.5. In the Sugar Bowl, John Ryan is on Ohio State plus 7.5 and plus 245 on the money line. Big Ragoo's on the over 66.5. Big Boss on the Ohio State plus 7.5. And I'm on Ohio State plus 7.5 and over 66.5. And none of us are on Clemson. In Saturday's Gator Bowl, Ragoo's on NC State plus 2.5 and minus 105. Big Boss is on Kentucky minus 2. John Ryan's on the under 50.5. And I'm on NC State plus 2.5 and the under 50.5. In the Outback Bowl, Big Boss is on the first half over 33, the full game over 65. John Ryan is on the over 65, and he's also on the plus 270 money line for Ole Miss. Ragoo's on the plus 9.5 for Ole Miss and the under 65.5. And then I doubled up on Indiana first half full game, so we've got everything covered there. Fiesta Bowl. Oregon, Iowa State. We have John Ryan on the under 58.5, Ragoo on the money line with Oregon, and Big Boss and I on Iowa State minus 4. In the Orange Bowl, your final spot on the card, I'm on the first half minus 4 for A&M, full game minus 7 for A&M, and a team total under 27.5 at plus 110 for North Carolina team total. Ragoo's on that first half minus 110. He's on the team total under 27.5, and he's on the full game under 65.5. Boss is on first half North Carolina plus 3.5. He's on the full game money line plus 240. And John Ryan is on the first half minus 4 and the full game minus 7. And there you have it.
Great job.
There you have it. Wild. Was that right for everybody?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Everybody in the chat, you guys, I know we hadn't been doing Wednesday shows all year. It was just a pickup one for all this bowl activity. Thank you for jumping on as soon as we mentioned it. It means so much to us. All you guys, Justin, Sauce, Marlon, Z, Chris Brady, Paco Healy, Joey Jack, Nutflush Allen, Mama Allen, Mama Nutflush, North Ender. Maxwell Smart and I are shooting college basketball tonight, so that video will be out a little after midnight. Thank you guys so much for your support here. It means so much to us. Kev Riley, Steven Martinez, Fat Wally, Dave and Cal, 48, Chris Brady, all you guys. Thank you so much for your support. The great Paco Healy, Nathan Cerna, Claude Bartman, Man, thank you guys so much. Truly, you guys inspire us. You make us laugh. You make us try harder. I absolutely love it. Oh, Joseph Browning, Big Joe, 5-unit play on Bama first half for Big Joe. Thank you, Joey Jack. Thank you, Prince of the City. Happy New Year to all you guys. MJ, all you guys, Happy New Year. Marlon Z, Silent, JW, Sebastian Cornwell, Razor Sharp Picks. Thank you guys. DJ Bigg Boss, could you give us a little New Year's message and put a bow on this for us?
Oh man, it'd be my pleasure, man. I want to say, man, thanks to everybody. It's been a rough year, man. It was crazy, but we all hung on tight, man. It's been a long road in 2020 for real. But you know, we still here. It's 2021, and guess what? Nothing's changing going into the 2021. Let's let everything out for 2020, and let's let 2021 come in, and let's see what have it. Stay safe, man. I mean, a lot of places can't do much for New Year's Eve and all that, so I'm pretty sure many of y'all gonna be at home COVID drinking. So, you know, drink as much as you want, have fun, and I'm gonna give you one slight tip that might help you out. So if you get too drunk by any chance, the best solution to getting sober is to take a little time, take your shoes off, take your socks off, and walk on the cold concrete. Y'all have a good one. Happy New Year.